New Mexico CannaCast. Everything New Mexico, everything cannabis. What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of the New Mexico CannaCast. This week's episode is going to be called New and Returning Users. And what that means is the people that have actually taken like a very long tea break or a tolerance break. And I mean years, 15, 20, 30 years, you haven't smoked since the 70s or since, Woodstock, whatever. And the new people who have never used cannabis, have never thought about it, just getting into it. We're just going to give you guys some tips, some do's, some don'ts, or maybe some knowledge that you guys didn't know about the cannabis plant. Because if you're a new user, or even a returning user, there's a lot that we've learned about the cannabis plant that you've probably missed. So go ahead and introduce yourself, Josh.
Hey, I'm Josh. How you doing, everybody? Yes, we're excited about this episode. We've talked a lot about it and just getting different point of views. Chad's done some amazing research, and got to talk to many people about it throughout the nation even. So it's fantastic. And again, I'm Josh McCurdy. Hope everybody's doing well.
Cool. Well, just jumping into things, we'll start the new and returning users. You guys are going to come into a landscape of a cannabis community, industry, and just all around. Everything has been different. It's different now. There's a lot more knowledge on it. We got different kind of extracts, and we have cannabis that's just higher in THC and CBD than it was, many years ago.
And terpenes.
Right, yeah, and those terpenes. We'll get to those though. Well, that's a little bit further down, and Josh gets excited when we talk about them terpenes, and I do too. But you want to look at when you're going to be going to a dispensary or a shop or something, and you're buying your cannabis, you're going to see labels, you're going to see the THC, you're going to see the CBD. One thing you really want to keep an eye out for is also you want to ask them, well, how's the terps on it? We'll talk more about that, but that's something that you really want to look on it too. But the THC level these days are going to be anywhere from 10% to about 30% THC on a cannabis flower. And then and for extracts like wax and everything, you're going to be sitting anywhere from 50 to about 98%, depending on where you get it from. In New Mexico, you're probably going to run into 8% THC cannabis a lot, all the way up to possible 30%. And that's just how it is. And the CBD, they've actually bred a lot of cannabis these days to have a higher CBD. And some actually are a 1-to-1 ratio on it, and those are very medicinal. So Josh, what's your experience, really, seeing the THC, change in the landscape of the past few years?
My whole thing about THC, I keep it real simple. I think I go straight from the flower, what it percentages is, to like what extract is, right? And so on the THC numbers, if I ingest something in the 18, 20s, 25 or whatever, I mean, I don't feel like when I ingest something in the 85 range of THC in an extract, it makes me that much more, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of with the terpenes and everything, add to it. But far as everybody, this is a lot different than smoking the brick weed, everybody. I'll be real clear about that real fast, okay? This ain't like, you have grinders now for years, everybody. Not a couple of months, because the seeds and stem break everything up. You shouldn't have to have a tray to break out the stems and the seeds and everything. You should have a sorting tray now, guys. Isn't that great? That's so great.
Yeah, it's nice.
But be very aware, this is not what you're smoking in high school. No matter how hardcore or whatever you think it might be, it probably will be a little more potent. And be reserved about it, because the THC numbers, everybody buys for them, right? And let's be honest, you need the entourage effect if you want the full effect of the cannabis and the love of the plant, right? You want everything. And so that's a whole nother thing. I think we have terpenes in the whole conversation here directly, correct? About those.
Actually, and if you want, we can talk about terps and go to names after that, because terpenes and THC and CBD, they just kind of fuse together. And so we'll jump down and talk about terpenes.
They fuse together in this glandular head called a trichome. And that's some
there you
science.
go. Yeah. And it's a beautiful head. I mean, they look like a mushroom, and like everything is just in this little gland. And it's just so gorgeous.
It's
so beautiful.
Yeah. Check them out. Trichomes, everybody. If you don't know what they are, Google them. There's some beautiful ones out there. So you know what I mean? Yeah. Terpenes, you know what I mean? You definitely, if you get the terpenes, you can have them in all different varieties, different percentages. To me, like a 3 to 5% world, is money. I love that range personally. And these are just rough estimate numbers, guys, of things that in there. I know things are different at different labs and everything else. These are rough estimate numbers through the experiences we have. Okay. I don't want anybody to think I'm Dr. Josh or science, nothing. Okay. No, some stuff is, you know what I mean? I'll let you know. So that's science, but yeah. So far as, terpenes, love it. 3 to 5%. You can get anywhere. I mean, as far as THC, when you have great terpene ratio, I have got very medicated and felt very great on things that were in the 15% with great terpenes, much more so than stuff that was in the 20s without the terpene content that was there. So to run both of them, to get all that, be very aware and enjoy the flavor. And understand high quality cannabis will always be harder to find in any market, even in recreational market. Okay. And there'll be different variations of everything. So be aware of that, definitely. Everybody coming back from your long breaker, son, I love it when people, son, I've been smoking longer than you've been alive. And I'm like, I know you have. And I'm not discrediting that one bit. I swear to you, I'm not discrediting your knowledge on that. I'm just saying things are a little different. And I have somebody in my life that was like that. And you know what I mean? Brickweed for as long as his life. And then we got him, medicated on some very strong cannabis. And, and a couple of times I was fortunate enough to grow it myself for him. You know what I mean, for him to try. And it's a phenomenal feeling when you get one of your old school people that's been in cannabis longer than you've been alive, and you get them on a different level where they're like, son, y'all kids are doing something different. I mean, straight, eyes are like that. Red is, that's good stuff. It's a pleasant thing. So you old timers, I ain't discrediting any of your years or anything like it. I'm just saying sometimes, every different bull buck's a little different, and some mules kick a little harder than others. That's all. Some stuff's a little more wide open than others. Just be ready for it.
Yeah. And certain terpenes affect people differently. So that's one thing that you're going to have to get used to. Like some people will say, I don't like weed because of the way it makes me feel, or I don't like the smell. Well, it's just usually that terpene that you don't like, because there's certain terpenes I don't like. Me too. Like I don't like the earthy ones, the grassy ones. I don't like any of those really. I like the fruity ones, Josh and I were talking about, yeah, right. Or you just throw it out there in New Mexico, if you've been here for a while, Quilly bean. Quilly bean is just fantastic terpene profile. And Organica, it's one of those
is where you can get that.
Yeah, Organica here in New Mexico is where you can get that. And if you haven't tried it, go try it. It's an amazing terpene profile.
Miles loves growing it.
Yeah, I've grown it too myself, and I've had Josh's, and we've tried each other's, and it's just an amazing terpene profile on a plant. And I'll get into another thing. This week, I actually had the opportunity to get into a clubhouse room and speak to a lady who was talking to us about the same conversation we're having right now, was terps and everything. However, I got into the conversation, I guess we'll kind of get into that too, because it ties in with it, is when you're using cannabis, and if you're too high, you can normally take CBD to bring yourself down, because they counter each other. And then they also say if you take peppercorns and you smell them, or fresh cracked pepper, the beta caryophyllene that's inside of it, which is the terpene profile for it, would usually bring you down and do the counteract for you. So you wouldn't have to really freak out much. But talking to this lady, she let me know that beta caryophyllene actually does the opposite for her. It enhances the effect for her. And it's actually her favorite profile, like her terpene profile. And so for her, it's a good effect, and it brings it up. So if she smells pepper, it's just going to enhance her effect, kind of like eating a mango. That's one thing you don't want to do too, is eat mangoes. Mangoes will actually enhance your effects. So that was an interesting thing about it. So keep in mind, if you do want to try the cracked pepper thing, it may not work for you, and it may enhance it for you. Like her, you could be one of those kind of people. But try to just keep CBD on hand, an oil isolate. Josh, really says, isolate helps him. I mean, you can probably explain more of that,
Well, it CBD affects me differently, like we were talking. So it affects me differently. I've always had isolate around for people that weren't used to it and did get the super effects we're talking about, where the uncomfortable feelings, right? And the thing is so we use the CBD isolate to vape it down, and we did it out of a a dab rig. So you know what I mean, and that's a different thing. But the sublinguals, the drops, stuff like that. those things will help. Talking with people will help. I will give you a personal occasion with my grandmother when she was alive. She ate a cookie first time she tried this, right? Is wonderful. I love this story. First time we tried it, we're sitting in the living room, and she had a cookie, and we made her some cookies and all this fun stuff. Grandma has cancer, stressed out, so that's why she changed my experience in cannabis. And anybody that knows me for very long knows that, so everybody else does now too. Granny's the reason I am such a nerd, everybody. It's grandma's fault, okay? And so God bless her and thank her. Anyways, so she had a cookie, she's sitting there, and it's about 10 minutes goes by. Grandma's like, son, I'm floating. I was like, Grandma, it's a cannabis cookie. It's not an LSD stamp. You got to calm down. And she just looks at me and starts laughing and giggling. So I know it kicked in. And so, and I just let her know, this is cannabis and you might feel different, but you know what I mean? And I don't suggest that anybody else do this. Okay. This is my personal experience. We'll talk about different ingestion things later, how you should do it first. This is just my personal experience with my grandmother and the choices I had that she limited me to. So God bless her. So, but anyways, and because it is a lot more potent than an edible, everybody. But so talking people down, being there for them, allowing people to eat, drinking water, just moving around helps, calms the effects down. But yeah, having somebody there, definitely help people out quite a bit, guys.
And don't think going to the hospital is going to do anything different. They're going to do the same thing that we're telling you to do right now. They're literally just going to give you some snacks and let you sleep it off. That's literally all. So don't waste your money. Yeah. You're not going to die. And just remember, it's just cannabis. So I guess with speaking about that, we can jump down and we could talk about edibles with new and returning users. Now, this is actually something that I want to seriously caution everybody. If you're a new and returning user, I recommend that you don't take edibles your first time using cannabis.
Can I give them the green and out story? That'll help.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll tell that at the end after giving the information.
I figure we'll do it right at the first.
Okay. Well, might as well just do that right out the bat. Screw it.
All right, everybody. So here, we're going to throw you right in the fire. Right. So this is a personal story again. I made some gummies and I was the person I was seeing at the time. She tried the gummies, right? She's very new to cannabis, completely new to cannabis. And I thought it was a low dose. And it still is a low dose. It still is a low dose to me. But anyway, she tried them. And she greened out, right? I knew what's happened, and that means kind of she ended up throwing up. I felt like one of the biggest buttheads ever on earth because I got, the person I cared about very, very medicated. She couldn't pick up her arms, so I knew exactly what that meant. That was greening out completely. So she was puking, and that does happen, everybody. If you're very sensitive to cannabis, you can take a little bit, and it can really jack you up. And, you don't need to be like, oh, I took this one. Oh, 10 minutes later, I need to take another because I don't feel it. Okay. You need to be very aware that greening out is real and you don't want to have a terrible experience. She did. And, thank God she kept trying cannabis and she understood. And I was very honest with her that was horrendous and it was a learning experience. So I would like everybody to take that experience for me personally and help you make the right decisions as far as edibles. Edibles are very potent. They work differently. They break down. And then, we'll talk about that more. But I just want to give you out the greening out story. Couldn't feel her arms, puking. It was terrible. End of story.
Definitely. And I just want to throw in here, guys, one bad time can ruin it for anybody forever. So, even smoking, dabbing, or edibles, just one bad time. So even if you are introducing somebody who's new or returning, don't give them a gram dab. Don't give them a huge edible. Don't tell them, hey, let's do freaking, waterfall bong, rips, whatever. Don't do that to him, bring it to it gentle, Yeah. Like
you all jacked up, man.
Yeah. It's
don't
not
be that
right,
dude.
Like just don't do that. Like give them a big dab when they're a little more experienced, like
when they
like
ask
now
for it.
We go see Tim and he kills us because we're used to it. But, like that's not our first time, Yeah. And so I will say, if you are, if you do decide, and we caution you don't, if you're a new returning user, if you do decide to do an edible, start very, very low, 1 to 2 milligrams. And if you don't feel anything, try another day. Do not take more. That's the last thing you want to do. And I do want to let you guys know that your THC levels do drop about every 30 minutes because your body metabolizes it and turns it into, something else that, isn't really psychoactive. So every 30 minutes, your body really kind of starts to drop in the levels. Edibles, however, it seems to kind of be a roller coaster ride because they're so potent. They're very, very potent.
Well, it breaks down in the liver to what, hydroxy 11 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was hydroxy 11 is what it breaks down to.
I should look it up. But anyways, it's like 3 to 4 times more potent usually than inhaling cannabis.
Yeah.
And so, and then the thing is say, you did an edible, but you ate or whatever. So you're tracked, you ain't absorbing things. And say now you had 3 of them. Now you're trying to do 10 milligrams. Now you're up to 30 milligrams, right? Because that's a dose in Colorado. And that's what I think ours will be at, is 10 milligrams, I believe is what it is.
Yeah. And I think that's what they were talking about. 10 milligrams, no more than 100 milligrams per package.
So let's take this scenario. You got 3 of them. Yeah, man. You have one. All right. 10 minutes later, I don't feel anything. I take another. 10 minutes later, it's 20. You don't feel anything. And all of a sudden, 30 minutes, you get kicked in the teeth by 30 milligrams.
Yeah. Just out of nowhere. And it just happens. Like you just feel the world start just evolving around you, when it starts to kick in, and there's nothing you could do at that point.
Or you're gonna have to do the CBD thing or something. Yeah, it's gonna be rough. I mean, you're gonna try to eat, it's gonna puke. Or you can be, here's another scenario, and we just got done talking to somebody like this, all good things. But when they eat it, it does not affect them. They don't have the enzyme that help breaks it down and all that jazz. So you eat 1,000 milligrams, which is a gram, and no problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't even feel it. So
yes.
that's you know what I mean? So that's another thing too. You know what I mean? If you're looking to be a new or user and you do an edible, it might not affect you. And you might have that enzyme and you might, I ain't doing nothing, or you know what I mean? Try to go overboard, or maybe you did eat 1,000 milligrams and it did nothing. So next thing you're like, I'm going to take a dab. And then all of a sudden you're like, boom.
Yep. Okay. Out for the count and then over the toilet, you're sitting there barfing up, you turned green. So yeah, guys, when it comes to edibles and everything, I really recommend kind of just staying away from them in general if you're a new or returning user. It's just how it is, really.
And I bet you're wondering, what do we suggest you do being a new or returning user from back in the day? Are you wondering? Well, my suggestion is, if you can, to vaporize it. You know what I mean? In a vaporizers, there's like the Volcano, there's different types. And this is cannabis flower. I suggest that off the bat. And, my all-time favorite, you can smoke the flower. I mean, some people might have reservations about it, but that would be my second suggestion. And do it very small. If you're doing it at a cannabis joint, one hit, calm down or whatnot. If you're doing it a pipe, make sure it's a little bitty hit. If you're doing a water bong medical device, like my favorite, do one little hit and just get enough out of it, what you can.
Snaps.
Yeah, but snaps. Yeah, but a joint's probably going to be your best bet. You might feel more comfortable with, hitting a different types of bongs. You have to do it differently, with air intake and how all that works. Pipes a little different harshnesses on every level, everybody. So be very aware of that. That's my suggestion to you. If you were wondering what I think you should do if you're coming back. The same.
Yes. All you're doing when you're vaporizing is just heating up the cannabis to the point where it activates the THCA into THC, and you're not burning plant material. So
and keep it for your edibles.
Yes, you can still use it for your edibles. So if you guys ever have any questions or anything, hit us up on our social media. We'll see what we can help with, whatever, when it comes to that, or maybe ask us what our favorite edible is.
Another show, Cooking with Cannabis.
Exactly. Maybe Cooking with Cannabis. We might, invite someone in. So I guess we'll move on to, one of our other topics. It's going to be names of the cannabis, the different kind of names that you're going to run into quite a bit when it comes to, going to the dispensary, and just dealing with cannabis in general. I mean, sometimes they got some funky names, sometimes they got some wild names, and sometimes they just got some really plain names. So it just really depends.
Some of them are just far out. Like some of them, I'm like, there's no way I would even smoke that. I probably would if it tasted good and I didn't know what it was. But buying it off the names, there's some very weird names. But there's some normal names where it makes sense. Like Purple Kush. I'm pretty sure that's some kind of purple plant, and Granddaddy Purple and a Kush or something. Super Lemon Haze. You can look all that up too, everybody.
Yeah. There's resources.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different things. So look it up maybe, and look at the terpene content and start paying attention to that more than anything, far as how it affects you. Okay. We have the sativa and the indica thing we talk about, and that goes into names and stuff, because when you get a haze, you expect a sativa type of effect, and it might be hybrided out so much to a situation where it still has the haze cross in it, and it's a pheno of what maybe has heavy terpenes on the indica side, and it affects you in a very indica way.
And going back to the terpene thing, that's actually one reason why they're going away from the indica sativa kind of thing, because we don't know. They've been so mixed and hybridized that we have no clue. What it is some dude's smoking it and he says, oh, this is the effect that I feel. Okay, so it's going to be heavy on the indica. Okay, cool. So we're going to call it, heavy indica. We're going to say 60% indica.
Even the growth of the plant, like a lot of people go off the growth of the plant, like the leaves, the way the plant grows. Is it squatty? Is it this? Does it have this, that? But yeah. And so we can go back to genealogy, we go back to land races, and we have this supposedly and stuff, but it makes sense. Science, guys, it makes sense. Here's some science. It makes some sense that, you do what terpenes, and then how they affect you might be different, because it's very personal experience, guys. Cannabis is a very personal experience too. And I want everybody to recognize that when you do start, back into the recreational market, and, you're trying it again or whatnot, understand it's a very personal experience. And I'd want to smoke it or whatever first time around people that I'm comfortable with. Okay. So that's another thing. You might want to be somewhere you're comfortable. You might not want to have a bunch of anxiety or feeling, it might help fuel that situation too. So you might want to be in a good mood, and then learn how to use cannabis when you're not in a good mood to put you in a good mood.
Yeah. Because if you do use too much, you might just go to sleep. There's that. And the reason why I brought up the terpenes is they're actually getting away from the indica sativa, and they're using the terpenes to determine what cultivar that plant really is, or the genealogy of the plant where it comes from. And that seems to be more accurate. I mean, Israel was the one who was really the forefront of this research years ago, because I remember hearing about it years ago. And they were using the terpenes of the cannabis plant to pinpoint what it is. And then they started kind of creating their own strains, of course, and they started using more medicinal names for the cultivars. And it was a little interesting to hear, because then it sounded a little more pharmacy, to me. It was like, a canatinol or something like that, is what they called it, instead of like, a cultivar name that came from the genealogy of it. So that was one thing that kind of like weirded me out about it.
G13.
The G13, right?
G13, government strain, man. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can look at different places, to find a bunch of information like this, and the terpenes and how they affect you, and different varieties are definitely, and that's the good thing about knowing which varieties you're getting into, and that they're tested and stuff, so you can actually use that for yourself, being personal and personal experiences. Some varieties might affect you, make you happy, uplifting, and feel great. Man, use them for the cloudy days, right? You might have days where you're feeling cloudy. You need a hardcore sativa that keeps you buzzing. You know what I mean? And I say sativa, I mean the terpenes that affect you that way. So maybe I say, hey, pretty terpenes. I'll work on my stuff too, because I'm old school about it too.
Yeah. So, and then the cannabinoids affect you too, but that's going to be another episode on its own. Is the cannabinoids? So one day we'll come on here and we'll talk all about them. You got the CBN, CBG, all that good stuff. So, right. So moving on, we talked about the names and everything, and that, not too much there. We would talk about the final thing, and everyone, I'm sure, is wondering prices and taxes. Ooh. So you are going to be paying a buttload of taxes.
Don't make it sound so negative, Nancy. This could be worse. There's places that are worse. All right. New Mexico is going to be paying 12%. Let's be honest. Yeah. It could be, and it's working its way up to the 20s eventually. So let's be happy with our 12%. Let's be happy that it's moving right now. And we know the prices ain't the greatest here as far as quality and, price, but it is what it is. It'll get better, right? We're in a direction and a trajectory to get better. Are we not?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I'm so excited about that too. I'm excited.
If you're returning or a new user, if you're from back in the days, you're used to paying $60 for, a lid, if you're
4-finger lid, homie. Yeah. We know you old school.
4-finger lid. We know what's up. The 4-finger lid thing, you paid about $60. These days, you're going to pay $60 for about a 1/4 ounce, 7 grams.
Maybe even an eighth.
Yeah. Maybe even an eighth. Yeah. Sometimes there's cannabis out there that I've paid $50 for an eighth, and it was good cannabis. Don't get me wrong. It was in Washington. It was fire. It was fire. So But here in New Mexico, that might not be the case, and it might be the case. I don't know. Maybe some new producers coming on board are just going to knock it out the park.
Was it that much fire, Chad? Like a forest fire? Was it that
like a
fire?
forest fire right there? Just burn it up.
Burn it up. Burn it up. That's what you're gonna do. Is that good? It burned it up.
Burn it on up. So, but yeah, I mean, just look out for the prices, look out for the sales. When you go to dispensaries, a lot of the time they're going to have you like try to sign up, text and stuff like that. Sign up for it. All you have to do is hit stop if you don't want them to, stop. But they tell you when the deals are happening. Look out for the deals. You got Black Friday, you got the day after Christmas, you got the holidays, and they usually give you good, discounts.
Some deals will not be good. Some deals will be good. That's all I'm saying. Be aware of the deal you're looking at and be honest with yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is $10 a gram for shake really a good deal?
Ooh, I don't even want to talk. All right. So everybody be aware, be you know what I mean? As buyer, check it out, go from there. And be ready for some high prices when rec hits, because we will have shortages and that'll affect the prices. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. Everybody knows. I don't think we need to get too deep into shortages because it's going to happen. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. And we'll have another show about shortages too. Yeah. So, we got a lot of shows lined up for you guys.
We got some surprises coming too. I'm excited.
Yes, we do. We got some surprises. Our Clubhouse followers may already heard it earlier. So they know. They in the know. If you want to be in the real footage. Follow the Clubhouse. We might do some more live shows there. We're live there right now. But yeah, I mean, your prices and taxes, it is what it is. You're not going to get around it. It's an illegal market now. So this is pretty much what you're going to be dealing with. And, if you're a new or returning user, welcome back. And I'll just say at the very end, be a responsible user. Do not smoke and drive. Just try to be very responsible.
Do not be a damn stoner. Okay. I'll be honest with you. Bobby Hill your ass about this. All right. Damn it, Bobby. Yeah. Do not be a responsible consumer of cannabis, people. Do not be a damn stoner, please, God. Cannabis people are very, very motivated, very, there's a lot of athletic people that are cannabis users. There's a lot out there. So I know the old school stigma, it is what it is. But just right now, you know what I mean? I want other people to understand that you could be the representation for them and others. Okay. And there's some people out there right now that are hardworking parents and just very, contribute to society people that are consumers and they're very more productive than people that drink alcohol. And that is the bottom line. So don't be a damn stoner. And do it responsibly and be a representative. All right, people. And yeah, don't be trying to get your friend all jacked up or anything else like that. Be responsible about it. Be responsible bringing people into this community and this lifestyle.
100%.
There's my disclaimer, my passion about it. Don't green people out like I did, like I was an asshole.
With great power comes great responsibility, and it just doesn't apply to Spider-Man. It applies to this too. No. So yeah, guys, just be responsible. So that's all I had for this. If you want, Josh, we can end the show with actually updating everybody with the National Index Prize.
Yeah. I was just want to give a shout out to Medical Marijuana Radio.
Yes.
Yes. And everybody there. I appreciate all his help. Great things there. So make sure you listen to it, being a new user. So yeah, go ahead, toss the prices at us. Let's see where we're at.
Yeah. Like Josh said, tune in to MMJ Radio. He probably has a lot of good information for you guys. But the price index, it looks like indoor price, and these are prices nationally, guys. We're giving you all national prices.
Average.
This is a median average. So the indoor price, it looks like it actually went down $24 from $17.10 to $16.86. So indoor went down a little bit. So, but we're in a downslope right now because it's winter anyway and the harvest happened. So that kind of happens. And as we said before, prices always go up and down, guys. It's a wave. Greenhouse, you're going to be sitting at $9.40. There's literally no change from last week per pound. And then outdoor, you actually increased $11. So it's $564 up from $553 last week. So outdoor went up a little bit, but like we said, the harvest happens. So of course that's going to be a little higher right now.
Good deal. Everything good. Good deals to all the farmers out there making it, selling it. Good to everybody. If you haven't seen, the Cannabis Control Division has a few things. The licenses are open on all levels. So yeah, I mean, do we got anything else that's fun on this one?
I think I saw yesterday that the CCD or the RLD, they I guess made some of the rules official. and then they're going to have a hearing, I guess, on the 30th. So tomorrow there's actually going to be a CCD RLD hearing. If you want to tune in, go to the RLD website, go to the CCD site, and then there's a link to join the meeting. So,
and that'd be on December 30th of 2021, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody that watches after, it won't be there. Just FYI.
Yeah. It's going to be about packaging and, you know, stuff like that. And also they're going to have consumption lounge stuff in there too. So if you are someone who wants to get a consumption lounge, you're thinking about it, it might be a good opportunity for you to listen. So, but anyway, guys, that's all I have. Josh, if that's all you have, sign us off.
Yes. Well, thank you everybody for tuning into the New Mexico CannaCast. Mad love to everybody. Happy New Year's to everybody in the new 2022 out there. And if you're in the New Mexico cannabis industry, I hope you're grinding hard, and I hope all the perfect things that go for you and greatness you can get. And mad love everybody, and happy New Year's, and God bless. That's about all I got.